Good evening and welcome into this Thursday edition of Sportszone. I am your host, Justin Ballou. Well, here at North Texas, our Mean Green are coming off of a 35-12 defeat last weekend in the Safeway Bowl against SMU, the 16th straight time that they've lost that game. This weekend, they're welcoming in a UAB team that won conference last year, defending conference champions, coming to Apogee Stadium on Saturday night at 6:30. I'd like to welcome in analysts Alec Rapp and Chris Adams to discuss this matchup. How are we doing, guys?
Good.
I'm doing good.
So some quarterback controversy over the offseason for the Mean Green between Austin Aune and the transfer quarterback Jace Reuter. Reuter has ended up starting both games so far this season, and his stats read 42 of 72 on completions for 497 yards, a couple touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. So, Alec, I want to come to you first. With Conference USA play starting this Saturday with UAB coming to town, how confident are you with Reuter being our starting quarterback?
I'm extremely confident in Jace Reuter, and I'll tell you why. Because Austin Aune last year played all right, but he didn't play well. And I'll tell you right now, I don't want to do that little tango we did last year. Oh, here's Bean, we'll play him for half a game, then we'll put Aune in. I don't want to do that because, as we all know, when you have 2 quarterbacks starting, you have none that start. Also, Jace Reuter, we got to realize this. He played at UNC for 3 years, but in those 3 years, 7 for 10, 98 yards, and 1 touchdown. So I think as he gets into conference play, just a couple more games under his belt, he's going to do a lot better.
And the offense has been moving the ball pretty well so far through 2 games. They put up over 500 yards against SMU last week, and Reuter hasn't really been the problem, I don't think, but the red zone offense, specifically Reuter's decision-making in the red zone, has been a little bit of a problem. Chris, I want to come to you. How do we start putting touchdowns on the board instead of field goals?
Well, I think a big thing that we need to start doing is getting back to the run and establishing the run. Last week we had 41 rushes, my bad. And we had 122 yards, an average of 3 yards per carry. We need to be able to establish the run so we can use both the run and the pass in those red zone and short yardage situations.
I agree. They kind of seem to abandon the run in that game against SMU, but that's sort of what happens when you fall behind in the fourth quarter. Now, I'm going to switch gears and talk about the defense for a little bit because we have a new DC defensive coordinator this year, Phil Bennett, coming in. They forced 8 turnovers through 2 games this year, 4 in each game, and they had 9 all of last season. So 1 away from last year's total through 2 games. How impressive is it, Alec, how fast they've kind of come out and be this physical? They're taking the ball away. How impressive is that?
It's extremely impressive, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the defense last year, 42.8 points per game is what they gave up. The worst in the country. And for Phil Bennett to come in, he was a head coach at SMU. He's been all over the place. To come in and change this defense through 2 weeks, giving up only 35 points to SMU, I think going into that game, we all thought, man, they might give up 40 plus to SMU, and they didn't. They have a lot of pieces on the defense that are doing really well. Deion Novell, Katie Davis, and Kevin Wood have been playing amazing this year. And they've got some pieces coming in, mainly because of Phil Bennett over the next couple of years, that are really going to solidify this defense.
And I think another thing that's big for this defense is that we're returning pretty much all of our starters from last year. And even though it's a new scheme, I think just having that veteran leadership and guys that have been around helps out big time. So back to the UAB game for a second, because UNT is 1-4 all time against the Blazers. UAB has just really crushed everybody in the Western Division since they came a few years back. What do we have to do to win this Saturday? I'll start with you, Chris.
One thing I think we need to do is, as I said earlier, establish the run so we can open up the pass. And another thing is we got to keep that energy on defense. We got to keep on getting turnovers. And a big problem I noticed with our defense is we gave up a lot of big plays. And I looked at the box scores of our previous games. Only 1 touchdown was not over 20 yards that they allowed.
Yeah, that certainly has to change. Alec, what do we do to win?
Yeah, I think it starts with executing, as Brian Kelly would say, in the red zone. Because if you have a defense that is getting you turnovers, as they've done over the past 2 games, 8 in 2 games, 9 all of last year, you've got to be, as an offense, as Jace Reuter, DeAndre Torrey, Roderick Burns, whoever, you've got to go out there and say, all right, we actually have to do our job. They did their job. We need to do ours.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's been the red zone offense and the 3rd and short and the 4th and short game that have really been the weak links of this offense. Chris, what do we do to improve the 3rd and 2 and the 3rd and 1 game, the 3rd and short and the 4th and short game? How do we improve that?
You know, it's a really tough situation because, and I think, again, back to the run, we need to establish the run. When we had DeAndre Torrey go off in the first game, we didn't need the pass to be as great. But when we fall behind like we did, then the pass, we're more dependent on it. So I just think maybe give Reuter a little bit of time to get adjusted to the team and hopefully make better decisions, and we get better in that aspect as the season goes along.
UNT only scored 3 points off of those 4 turnovers last week. So from an offensive perspective, Alec, what do we do to change that?
Well, I think you need to change who's calling plays, if I'm being honest with you. And it's tough to do that because UNT has had 3 different offensive coordinators over the past 4 years. But I think there needs to be some sort of change. We've seen a huge change on the defense. I think a lot of it's culture. I think we had a big culture change on the defense this year. I think we need that for the offense. But for a quick fix, I guess just throw in some plays that we're not used to. We just celebrated the 3-year anniversary of that Arkansas punt return. Throw some stuff in like that.
Well, we'll see how all the action plays out between UAB and UNT, again, 6:30 at Apogee Stadium. Stay tuned through the break. The Cowboys have a big game coming up, and we're going to cover that.
My son Andrew was always a joy to be around. I always taught him to be accepting of other people. That's why when Andrew was suddenly fired from his teaching job for being gay, my heart just broke. As a parent, how do you prepare your child for something like that? I hope we get to a place where people will be treated with respect, equality, and love.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Drew, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Welcome back into Sportszone. Well, after falling in Week 1 to open the 2021 season, the Dallas Cowboys are back in action this Sunday in LA to take on the Chargers. I'd like to welcome in analysts Kevin Pacheco and Brandon Brown to break down the game. How are we doing, guys?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, great.
So the story all offseason for the Cowboys was Dak Prescott's health. Last year in Week 5 against the Giants, he suffers a compound fracture, has surgery over the offseason, misses the rest of the 2020 season, and coming into training camp, early in training camp, he injures his shoulder, which ends up keeping him out of the preseason entirely. Week 1, he comes out and throws the ball 58 times for over 400 yards. Brandon, can we expect a similar type of performance this Sunday against the Chargers?
I think so. Chargers front 7 is pretty solid. They have Joey Bosa, Jerry Tillery, a few other guys that have been producing. I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot because this Chargers backfield is weak. My prediction is 350-plus yards, 4 touchdowns, maybe an interception. We'll see.
And it's going to be interesting to see what the Cowboys do on offense because some questions along the offensive line now. La'el Collins has been suspended 5 games for substance abuse. This will be the first game of his suspension. Terrence Steele, the undrafted rookie out of Penn State, will make the start at right tackle. And Brandon, you mentioned the Chargers front 7. How worrisome should the right tackle position be for the Cowboys?
You know, hopefully that right tackle, he gets his mind in the game quick because Joey Bosa is going to be something to handle. And we'll just see if he can kind of keep up with the game.
And luckily they do get Zach Martin back, who was on the COVID list last week, so that should solidify the offensive line at least somewhat. I want to switch gears and talk about the run game because last week they only carried the ball 11 times with Ezekiel Elliott. He had 33 yards. Something that's kind of becoming a theme with the Cowboys now is that they're not using Ezekiel Elliott. Kevin, do you think the team is sort of moving away from Zeke as their feature back?
I don't think they're necessarily moving away. I think they should just get him and Tony Pollard involved more. They should figure out a way to use both of them, put them both on the field at the same time. I think since they're going against the Chargers and it's a really good front seven they're facing, plus they got Terrence Steele playing, they should probably try to do a lot of quick passes to the running backs. Use Ezekiel Elliott, use Tony Pollard. He's got the speed, Elliott's got the power. Trying to find a way to use them both, especially on 3rd and short. That's where Elliott would shine more. So I think that would be a good game plan to use. After Elliott's contract is over, though, they should probably move on and see where Tony Pollard or anyone else they might draft could do.
And I agree with you. I think that the trouble with the Cowboys is that they haven't been able to find ways to get him involved, and I think that's why he hasn't been producing a lot. And we kind of got into the Chargers already, so I want to know which specific player matchups. We mentioned kind of Dallas's problems along the offensive line. They also have a lot of they have 5 players out, 5 starters out for this game. Lyle Collins, I already mentioned. Michael Gallup's on the IR with a calf injury. Randy Gregory is out with COVID now, and then DeMarcus Lawrence in practice the other day breaks his foot. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. So questions on the defensive side of the ball and the defensive line as well as on the offensive line. What are the key matchups? Is that one that you guys are looking at this weekend? Let's start with you, Kevin.
So I would say Terrence Steele, but actually I'm gonna change it to Zach Martin. He's coming back. He suffered from COVID, and now he's back on the court or back on the field. I want to see how he does helping Terrence Steele go against Joey Bosa, giving Dak Prescott some time and helping that run game. Hopefully they can establish that run game and take some pressure off that O-line and off the quarterback.
And I want to jump in on Zach Martin real fast because a lot of people were predicting that he would be the one to swing over to right tackle. Are you surprised that they're starting Steele there instead of Zach Martin?
Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah. Steele, has he played a game? I don't recall him playing a game.
He hasn't started very much, though.
Right. And you have one of the best O-linemen in general playing guard against a team that has Joey Bosa. I am shocked they haven't moved him to tackle. I mean, I get it. You want to keep him guard, right? That's his natural position. But for this game, you've got to move him to tackle. We don't want Zeke to have less than 30 yards again. We don't want Dak to potentially re-injure his shoulder. I mean, I'm shocked. I don't know what they're doing here.
Well, Zach Martin also certainly one of the best guards in the entire league. I want to look at the NFC East this last weekend because kind of a mixed bag, and I don't think exactly what people were predicting, at least to start the season for any of these teams. The Giants come out, they look pretty bad against the Broncos. They lose that game. Washington loses to the Chargers, who obviously the Cowboys are playing. They lose Ryan Fitzpatrick, their quarterback. And the Eagles probably look the best out of any of these teams week 1. They just come out and pounce the Falcons. So my question for you, Brandon, is who looks like the toughest competition for the Cowboys at this point in the division?
It's definitely got to be Daniel Jones and the Giants. No, I'm just playing. It's going to be Washington football team. They're the most balanced in that division right now, and I think it's going to be them and Dallas kind of racing for that first place finish.
What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles offense looked really fun last week, but I got to go with the Washington football team.
Yeah, Washington certainly has a terrific front. Now I want to get back to the Chargers game again because Joey Bosa is one of the best defensive ends in the entire league going against Terrence Steele now. Just how worrisome is that matchup? Real fast, Brendan.
You know what, Terrence Steele, good luck. Good luck. You're going to maybe need it against this guy.
Well, let's certainly wish him luck, and we will see how the Cowboys do. 3:25 kick on Sunday in LA between the Cowboys and the Chargers. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about the Mavericks and what they have going on.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out."
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps. Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back into Sports Zone. Well, here in North Texas, we know just how amazing Luka Magic can truly be. But this summer, it was on display for the entire world to see at the 2020 Olympics. I'm joined by analysts Brendan O'Donnell and Anthony Council to talk about Luka and the Mavs. How are we doing, guys?
Doing great.
Doing pretty good.
So this Olympics, Luka single-handedly basically carries Slovenia to the basketball semifinals for the first time in history. Slovenia had never even made it close to that point in their history in the Olympics. So Anthony, I want to start with you. What do the Mavericks need to do to mimic the success of that Slovenia team?
I'm not going to lie, the thing that the Mavericks need to do is be a lot more physical. They have to be more physical on defense and on offense. They can't just be giving the ball to Luka Doncic and just letting him go Michael Jordan on them. Because if they do that, they're just going to get the same thing that they've been getting for the past 2 years of just getting out of the first round. And that's not something that you want in your franchise player or in your franchise in general.
Well, it seemed like Slovenia kind of figured out the recipe for playing to Luka's success. So do you think that there's a specific player from that team that the Mavericks should look to pick up?
Well, one person I was thinking of was actually Goran Dragic's brother, Zoran Dragic. He played for the Miami Heat back in 2014. He's a very good player. He averaged 12 points. He's a point guard. He's 6'5", very good player. But actually, they are actually already looking to sign a player for the Mavericks, which is very exciting. And Frank Ntilikina, which is really, really big because he's a great guard. He played for the Knicks as the 9th pick in 2017. And I think that if they draft him or if they trade for him, I think it could change a lot of things for Luka Doncic.
And during this Olympic performance, Luka went out and signed his Supermax $207 million contract extension that will keep him in Dallas through the 2026 season. Brendan, I want to come to you. How does this deal, from the Mavs front office perspective, how does this affect their cap space moving forward?
It shouldn't affect it too much this year. In the next upcoming years, he's not going to be on that rookie contract anymore. He's still only got about a $10 million cap hit right now. In the upcoming years, it's going to be 35, then 38, then 41. It's going to creep bigger and bigger. But for now, they're only sitting at about $104 million in cap space, and they're not even going to get a luxury tax hit until they get $132 million. So for now, they've got $26 million to just add to some free agents, and they really need to hit hard on this defense. And there's a couple free agents they've still got available on the market: Avery Bradley, DeMarcus Cousins, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, that could all bring something to this team that's not just shooting. They lost Josh Richardson and brought in Reggie Bullock, another guy who's just going to sit on the outside and shoot threes. They got to be a little more physical and bring in some big centers, bring in some big guys that can play some defense. Like Slovenia, they had Mike Tobey, great center who's just playing in the paint, getting them those second chances over and over and over and getting putback shots. That's what they need.
There are a lot of free agents, and there are a lot of guys that are eligible to be traded this year. So a lot of names out there for the Mavericks to possibly get. Ben Simmons, a guy who's been rumored out of Philadelphia for as long as I can remember now over the past few seasons. John Wall in Houston, Goran Dragic in Toronto, all kind of names that have been tossed around this offseason. Should the Mavs inquire, Anthony, do you think, about any of these guys?
I think they should inquire about Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a great player, but you're going to have to trade a lot of assets just to get Ben Simmons. Why? Because you're going to have to trade probably Kristaps Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr., and probably Jalen Brunson just to get Ben Simmons. He's a great defensive player. Yes, we all know he cannot shoot the ball. He's been practicing over the summer. We'll see how that goes in this season. But I think adding the defense, like you said before, I think adding the defense of Ben Simmons, who is an All-NBA player, could really change the whole game with Luka Doncic and give him that second star.
What do you think about Ben Simmons?
You need your defensive stars to actually be in the game. You're switching from one choke artist in Kristaps Porzingis to Ben Simmons, who got pulled out of the game in the 76ers matchup against the Hawks. He wasn't even playing anymore. Now, not only was he not making shots, but he's not defending their best players. Bring in someone like John Wall. He's a pretty good defender. He's going to add some more to the team, bring a little variability, and he's going to stay on the court. He's not going to pull himself back out of there.
Hold on. He's been injured with the Wizards. Right? He hasn't played in like probably 2 years. So we'll see if he's able to play. I mean, Ben Simmons has been injured. He just doesn't shoot the ball. All NBA, 2 years, played all 4 seasons, Very good player. But, we'll see.
I get that, but is it worth giving up all those things for somebody who's right now seen as not worth it.
For Ben
not
Simmons?
worth it for all that.
For Ben
He's
Simmons?
not worth Kristaps and Tim Hardaway and multiple draft picks. They don't even have that many draft picks right now, and you're going to give that up?
Ben Simmons is a jump shot away.
Luka's going to be gone in 3 years if they do that. They're gonna go from being a 6th seed to being maybe a 5th seed 1 year, and then it's done. They have no more cap space. They're going to have no more draft picks. They're going to lose everybody. And then Luka's going to move on to some other big market, and Dallas is going to be left with 0 draft picks and 0 great players.
But if you get Ben Simmons, right, an all-NBA player, someone who can defend, who can rebound, who can assist, who can average probably just about the same or even more assists than Luka Doncic. I'm not saying he's better than Luka. I love Luka, and I love Ben Simmons. But if you put Ben Simmons on the court with Luka Doncic, it helps everything out. It spreads the floor so much. And yes, I would trade Ben Simmons for Kristaps. I would trade Kristaps for Ben Simmons. Literally. Ben Simmons is an offensive juggernaut. Literally. Defensive juggernaut. 100%. Over Kristaps, any day. Jalen Brunson, any day. 100%. And over John Wall. I love John Wall. But does he play defense? Not really.
Certainly lots to sort out for the Mavericks front office over this offseason. You guys provided a lot of good points here, a lot of free agents out there. We'll see where the Mavs end up going. Stay tuned through the break. We're going to cover some UNT soccer. The girls are off to a fantastic start, so stay with us.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Dad, 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back into Sportszone. Well, the UNT soccer team is off to a fantastic start to the 2021 season, and this week, not one, but 2 of their players were named Conference USA Player of the Week. Allie Bird being named Offensive Player of the Week, and Sarah Fuller, our new goalkeeper, named Goalkeeper of the Week. I'm joined by analysts Quincy Noble and Nicholas Ogele to talk about these girls and the UNT soccer team. How are we doing, guys?
Great.
So, Allie Bird, in the Friday game last weekend against SFA, she scores a goal, and then 2 days later, on Saturday, she comes out and scores the only 2 goals of the game against Abilene Christian, and Sarah Fuller got shutouts in both of those games. So I think both of these awards pretty deserved among these 2 girls. How impressive have these 2 been this year, Nicholas?
They've been impressive, and I would say nothing taken away from Sarah Fuller at all, but she's just as impressive as her defense has made. That line in front of her has made her look. A clean sheet, no shots on goal or anything like that. Especially this last game, they didn't get 1 shot attempt off on them. So that says a lot about their defense and everything they have going on there. And Allie Bird's been on fire. That's 3 goals in the last 2 games.
Right.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And the defense has really been incredible. And it seems like when you watch the UNT soccer team, the ball always seems to be on their side of the field. And I think that's kind of what they used to play into their advantage. Mm-hmm. So the team is 5-1-2 on the season. Their only loss come against Baylor, and they also tied in Norman against Oklahoma. That's pretty impressive right there. They have 16 conference championships total, their last one coming in 2019. Quincy, what did they do this year to win their 17th conference title?
Honestly, I just feel like as their team, them collectively as a team, they just vibe well together. I feel like Sarah adds up, obviously, that defense that they need. And I obviously feel like if Allie's on a roll, Allie's going to do what she got to do. Once that girl, when I watched the Baylor game, they were trying to block her off. She's obviously the person that they're ready to stop because she's a big contributor to this soccer team. So as long as she's on fire and she's doing what she got to do, and obviously the other great players they have in their team, I feel like they're unstoppable. They're gonna get another one.
How far do you think they're gonna go?
Oh, the sky's the limit for them. They gonna get it. They proved to everybody multiple times that they gonna get their ring, and then they're gonna be in that tournament, at NCAA tournament. They gonna get there.
You seen that hype video? You seen the hype video? Yeah.
Ring.
I see
It'll
that. I
get you
believe.
ready.
I believe. I'll run through a wall after seeing that.
Yeah.
So they were 4-1-1 in Conference USA play a season ago, with their only loss coming to Southern Miss, and then in the conference tournament they lose first round against Charlotte. So who do you guys see as our biggest competition this season? Is it one of those teams or somebody else? Let's start with you, Nicholas.
I can't lie to you. I don't think anyone in the conference can hang with us. Real competition. I mean, you see, as you said, Charlotte. They have Rice isn't really that much of a challenge. I mean, you look at the records and nobody's really near us with it. So I just feel like, if anything, I feel like we're our own competition, and we have to. The only thing that could slow us down is ourselves.
And UNT has been UNT soccer has been one of the most successful sports that we've seen here at this university over the past, in recent memory, honestly. But they haven't received the recognition that other sports kind of seem to get. Maybe it's because they're a women's sport. Maybe it's because it's soccer. What do you think, Quincy, they need to do to kind of get that recognition? Is it simply just having Sarah Fuller? Is that enough to get us on that national stage?
I think Sarah Fuller is a great contributor to that. She obviously has her own. She has her own fan base. That girl's an inspiration. She's gonna bring us so much more publicity. And I also feel like it's on our UNT students. Y'all gotta come out to the games. Y'all have to support them. Y'all have to retweet their things. They're doing amazing things, and they should be notified for them, regardless of their women, whatever it may be. I believe that with the love from us and the support from us, they're gonna get out there and they're gonna get the support they need, and they're gonna get the accolades that they need.
I got to agree with Quincy. You can't go to the soccer games. I've been to the soccer games as well, and there's not enough of us as there are the other team. There definitely can't be more of the SFA game. There was more people from SFA than there was from the UNT students. Somebody walked by, said howdy. We don't say that over here, so definitely one from here.
But do you think that Sarah Fuller will bring us, more recognition, get the fans out? Do you think that having her will kind of do that?
That name definitely, I feel like, will attract, but we need more than that. I feel like we need to. We can win all the conference games we want to, 16
Clearly.
Conference championships back to back.
I feel like they've won enough. They deserve the recognition. They deserve recognition. They deserve people
But we
to go
also
out
need
there.
to win in the tournament. Whenever
Exactly.
we go to the next level of competition, we need to win there.
Quincy, do you see any team in conference that can compete with us? Rice is ahead of us in the standings right now. I just want to point that out, Nicholas. Do you think Rice is our biggest competition, or who do you see, Quincy?
I'm going to ride for my Mean Green girls. They're going to do what they got to do. Rice can do them, but I don't care what their record is. Our girls are going to handle business, and they're going to beat them, and they're going to win again and again and again.
I said what I said.
I think so.
We stand on it.
I knew what I was saying, too. I said what I said.
Well, we will see if they can get that 17th conference championship this year. Again, 5-1-2 entering conference play. They kick off conference play tonight against FAU at 6 o'clock in Boca Raton. That game will be broadcasted on CUSA TV and CUSATV.com if you'd like to check that game out. That'll do us for us here tonight. Check us out on Tuesday night at 5:30 for our other Sportszone crew, and stay tuned to NTTV News coming up next.
In America, the zip code you're born in can determine your future. The Y helps fill the opportunity gap with education programs for all. For a better us, support your local Y today.
Every child deserves a future. Every last child. That's why we do whatever it takes to ensure children grow up healthy, learning, and safe. Right here in the U.S. and around the world, just as we have for nearly 100 years. When it